Yeah, hi there and welcome back. So let us continue with our lecture and let's see about the zip operator in this lecture. So let's take a look on the zip. It says that combine the emission of the multiple observable together via specified function. So we have a specified function over here and emits the single item for its combination based on the result of that function. So we can apply some function over here and based on this result of the function it emits a single item. So let's say we have a two observable over here. First is emitting a number and second is emitting a ABCD. So what does it actually does is that when the first value is emitted from the first observable, then it waits for the second observable to emit this first item, then it combines together and we get a A1. And similarly the second observable, the first observable emit the second value, and then it will wait for the second observable to emit its second value. So it will combine together. So similarly it will combine all of this and the 5 is left over because it doesn't have to be any combination that can be set with the second observable, because second observable only has 4 items that is emitted and it is already taken over by the first observable that already emitted the 4 items. So the 5 is excluded from here. The zip method returns the observable, so you can take a look. It returns the observable that applies a function to your choosing to the combination of the item emitted in the sequence. So actually we can apply some function over here and apply some logic over the two observable that we are receiving. So we are receiving a two observable and we can apply some function and combine these two and we can return back some observable over here. So let's go and take a look. This may be quite confusing over here. So first of all, I create one function over here and say as a zip operator, and this should return the observable of the, let's say, any for now, and then we will go and op operator, and then I will create a two observable over here. So val num, which is of equals to observable dot just, let us create a just, and I'll say 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. So we have 5 item for this observable, and val I'll just say char, which is of equals to observable dot just, and I will give a character over here like a comma b comma c comma, and we have after c we have a finally as a d. And let me remove this one. Hey, what happened over here? I haven't closed over here, right? So I need to close this one. Okay, so we have a two observable and it should be of a char, and then we need a zip operator to all that. So I'll just say return observable dot zip, and I need to zip. So I need to pass the zip, the observable that I want to zip. So first is of a num and second is of the char, and the third is a b function that I have to provide. So b, it should be a b function, and let us make use of the lambda expression, and then I get a t1 and t2, which is basically t1 is for the num and t2 is for our char, and then we can concatenate these two, and I'll just say a t1 and I'll return of the another one t2. So I'm just concatenating these two and returning the same as what we have over here, a1 a2 2b. So it should give us the same result for us. So just these two observable we have, and then we combine it using a zip operator, and then we applied some function over here to combine it together and return us the single item of this combination. So we'll go to over here on activity, and I'll just copy this one, and here I'll just paste it, and I'll just say that's the zip operator. So it should be a zip operator, and if you try to run this one, we should get the same printout that we saw in the doc. So yeah, a1 2b and 3c and 4d, so 1a, right? So that's it, and I think you guys got it, and this is a simple way that we can actually make use of the zip operator. And let's take a look on another way of doing it on a more complex way. So let me show you in the more, that should be of a more practical way of doing it. If you are in doing some Android development, then we should be able to do on that way. So I have created one file over here. In data, I have a user block detail which has a ID, user ID, title, content, and the user. And this user is basically this user data class file that we have. And then I have another block. So this block has a ID, user ID, title, and the content. So this is another two data class that I have created over here. And then what I have added is over here I have added the block list. So this is the block that I have created. So block ID 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and the user ID which created this block. So 1 1 1, the user ID 1 has created 2, and the user ID of 3 has 2 has created 3, and the user ID of 3 has created 1, and user ID of 13 has created 1, and basically that's user ID 13 doesn't exist over here. So what we want to do now is we want to solve a problem. So let's say we get a list of a user from API, and we also get a list of a block from the API. So using a zip, it will make use of on the same time. So we make use of asynchronous over here. So it will go and fetch the user list, and it will also go and fetch the block list from the API, and then we apply the zip operator. So the important thing about the zip is it does whenever we zip this to observable, it will do it asynchronously. So if you are fetching from the API, it will go and fetch at the same time. So it doesn't have to wait for the first observable and then for the second observable. So it can complete in the same time. So since we have the data already, now we want to get this user list and the block list, and then we have to convert it to the block detail. So we will say that we will find out that which user has a block, and then based on that we will result out, or we will output only the block that has the user created it. So if the block has let's say if the block has this user ID matched with the user ID, then we will output that block. So it may be a bit confusing, so let's try to do it practically. So let me create a function over here. So function, and let's say get blogs blocks, and this should return the observable and of the list of the blocks from the, let's say, blocks from the API. So we have a list of blocks that will return from the observable observable, I think observable just should be fine, because we want to return the list. So it should be m block list. So m block list we have, not the zip, it should be just. And then I'll just copy this function, and I think we need to get the list of users. So I'll just get the users, and observable list of, we need a list of users, and then here we will just m user list, right? So m user list will return the user. So now we have a two API call over here. Let's say, just imagine this is the API call that we are doing, and it's returning a list of the block and the list of the user. So over here what we'll do is, let me comment out this one. So I'll just comment out this one for now, and I'll use the same function. So over here I will make use of the observable and just the zip operator that we have, and then we have a get user. So get users, it will get a list, and the another one is of the get the blocks, so it will get the blocks. And the third, I have to apply the function over here, and let us make use of the lambda expression. And now we have a t1 and t2, which is of get user and get block. And over here, let me create one function. So function, I'll just say block detail. So this block detail should take t1, and which is of the let's say a list of the users, and the second one of a t2, let's say, which is of the list of the block. So we have a list of the block that we get from the API, and let's say return type of this one should be of the block detail that we have. So let us return the list of the block from here, and I will call this function from here, and then pass the t1 comma t2 over here. Okay, so we pass the t1 and t2, and then what we will do is, let's go over here and let us what we want to do now is we want to check whether the block has the user that match together. So for that I want t1 dot for each on the t1, not the for loop, for each. Okay, and then I think first of all we'll create a val and the list, let's say list of the block detail, and which is of equals to let's say empty list for now, and this is of the block detail. And then what we need to do is, let's go over here inside. Now we have a user, and let's say this is of the user, and then I will again go for the t2 dot for each. So t2 dot for each, and this should be of the block. So we get a block over here, the log block. And now let us try to check if the block, right, if the block dot the user ID match with the user dot ID. Then what we want to do is we want to add to the block detail. So this list block detail dot add. Why I cannot add is, no, I need to make use of a mutable. So DETAIL, and this should be of a let's say a mutable list, and dot to mutable list, and mutable list of the block detail. Okay, so we have that one, and now I can add to this one particularly. Add, we need to add, what I need to add is block detail. I need to add. So the ID, so what is the ID that we have to add is it should be of the block dot the ID comma block dot the user ID comma and the block dot the title comma block dot the content, and then finally I need to pass the user itself over here. Okay, this is the user that we are getting. Okay, so I think that looks better. And then finally I need to return this list from here. So return this one. Okay, that's look fine. And what is the error over here? It's because I think we haven't set to return over here. Yeah. Okay, that's look fine. So we have provided our logic. We get the user and get the block, and then we set some function, and in this function we have applied some logic over here to check whether there is a match between the block and the user, and if it is matched, then we'll send the block detail with all of the information, and then we should get a list, I think, over here. So let us return a list from here, so not the any, so list, and the list of the block detail that we will return from here. And then in the main activity we have a block detail, and I can just make use of a for loop it dot what happened over here. Okay, I think I removed the it dot for each, and why I'm getting the for loop every time, for each. and then inside I will try to print out all of the information. Okay, so let's try to run this one, and that should be good to go. So let's go to the logcat over here. Yeah, we got it. So we got a block of 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then the 7 is ignored. I think if you go to the block we have over here, let's see the block that we have. The block 7 is 13 is not ignored because 13 doesn't match any user ID. So this user ID doesn't match, that's why it's ignored over here. And that's why we get from 1 2 3 4 5 6, and you can see that 1 and 2 is for the user ID 1, and 3 and 4 is for the 3 4 5 is for user ID 2. That's correct. And the numbers ID 6 is for the user ID 3. That's the great, right? So this is how we can combine the multiple observable using the JIT operator, and this is quite practical way that how we do it in the Android development. And I hope you guys like it and enjoyed it. So let's meet up in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day.